Welcome to KillCo. I am Mr. K. Today is day 4? 5? I'm going to say 4 of the Advent calendar. It's been a day. Um, it is Laphroaig 10. It is 4. It is Laphroaig 10. Boom. This stuff got my adventure started into whiskey. Believe it or not. And not because I tried it and loved it, to be abundantly clear. This whiskey was the one that my father was interested in after we recorded the audiobook Whiskey Women, which can be found on audible.com. Plug. You doobly doo below if you want to actually listen to the audiobook. It's very good and very interesting. And it is how we got curious about what Laphroaig is about, because there's a whole chapter, I think, about Laphroaig and what kind of peaty madness it is. And because of that, my father wanted to try it. We searched around. We found a restaurant that had it, tried it. My dad loved it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. So with some people, it's a love or hate only, but with me, it's one of those, whoa, that's different. Okay, interesting. Whew. I don't know if I want to do that again. Although ever since then, which was well over 2 years now, I have gotten accustomed, we'll say, to peated scotches, at least to some extent. Here's the bottle, lovely green, lovely little everything, looks very nice. I am going to regret opening this. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to regret opening this if I actually pour it, because this isn't doing a good pork pop. Boo. And this was a little ajar, which is going to bother me now. Nope, still a Freud. Actually smells quite nice once you get used to that sort of smell, we'll say. And again, only a sample to pour because it is late this time. I'm barely going to get this completed for the day because I've had so much other stuff going on. I'm going to try to do tomorrow's earlier, but today I was just done. That probably made a lot of noise. Sorry. So what I want to do first, before I do anything, is look up the Whiskey app and see what it tells me officially. Because I'm going to give my tasting notes. I already know what I'm in for, but I also know that my palate is accustomed to this kind of thing a little. It's still going to be a rough ride. So here we go. I know one of them that I looked up earlier is seaweed, and that was something I couldn't place before. There's a seaweed brine, salty, not as smoky as I remember, oddly enough. I'm getting more of a fruity smell in the back here, which is funny, because before that would not be a thing I would notice. It would just be, oh, but now there's a sweetness that I smell, which I like. I've gotten accustomed to peated scotches, as I said. Still not my favorite. I still like Irish whiskey above all things. I almost feel bad for people who don't like this smell, because it's a lot. I know that. Like, my first initial dealings with this were intense. But now, it's almost a whole different experience, almost. Oh, yep, that's Laphroaig. It doesn't even taste as potent as I remember, and I hope that's not because the cork was a little askew. Hopefully it wasn't, because if it did get too oxidized, something would have changed. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but now I'm not sure. But there's also the fact that I don't drink Laphroaig very often, and I have had many different Laphroaigs ever since I even got this bottle. I've had the opportunity to try numerous different whiskeys, and I will put that picture of meeting some of the gentlemen who actually are involved with making whiskey and distribution and everything up here. Maybe? I'm not sure. That way or that way. It's around. You'll know where it is. I won't until I'm editing. But this peated sensation is very hard for me to explain because it is almost overwhelming to anyone who first tries it. It's like the first sip, I don't know what it's going to do to you. It could just knock your socks off. In my case, it reminds me of barbecue a lot. Like Daniel said this before, and I agree. The burnt ends of brisket, that kind of thing. That char, and kind of a salt, too, which is funny. And pepper. A little bit of pepper for me. But that just might be the peatedness. Oh, it burns going down. How? That hasn't changed, as ever. But let's see official notes. Because I've said about all I can about it as someone who is accustomed to it and who has had it before and who is familiar with it. That's the only real difference about this advent calendar thing this year is I know what I'm in for. The ones before, it was like, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be like. It's probably going to be weird. And I have been linking my old ones at the end of each video, so anyone can go look at what it was like, last year even. A lot has changed here. I've done a lot of work, believe it or not. So here we go. This goes for about 45 bucks-ish. Age 10 years. 40%. Again, what? They only did the minimum? That's surprising. And what a nose profile this is. Smoky, peaty, medicinal. I kind of get medicinal, not as much. Bonfires, little, and seaweed are the community notes for the nose. Community notes for the taste. Salt, smoky, bonfire, peaty. These are pretty standard. And then peaty and smoky at the end. For me, it's more of the finish is more ashy-ish because it just sits on your tongue in a very odd sort of way. Official notes. Color, sparkling gold. I would agree. That's actually one of the things I've been skipping out on by accident. I used to do that all the time. Was I'd look at the color of it, and this is beautiful. This actually reminds me of a Irish whiskey. Just the look of it, but the smell, hell no, not at all. And it says sparkling gold. Yes, I agree. Nose, huge smoke, seaweedy with a hint of sweetness. Unsurprising, that's exactly what I get. Well, and the taste. Surprising sweetness with a hint of salt and layers of peatiness. Finish lingering. Yeah. Body full. Full body. Let me see if I get that full bodiness. Yeah, this is the kind of texture of whiskey I like. It just wraps around your tongue and stays there. Whew. But it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was, or I was expecting, honestly. I was almost dreading this a little because Laphroaig has been such a challenge originally for me to get used to. But since I've been dealing with peated scotches, had a number of different types of Laphroaigs over the years, it is something I'm familiar with and comfortable with. It's still not my favorite, but honestly, for this time of year, when it just snowed and it's cold and it's one of those days, I've been extremely busy today. This is something where you drink and you go, oh, I'm alive again. I think when I did the tasting in Connecticut for all these different Laphroaigs, it was early. It was 10:30 in the morning, and this was better than black coffee to wake me up, honestly. There's no caffeine, obviously, but if it doesn't reinvigorate you a little bit. So that's that. This is probably a little longer than I want it to be, and I might edit it down somehow. But there we go. Day 4. Laphroaig. 10. Boom. I know there's another one coming up later in the month. I'll probably do just a different one. I think it's the cast strength one, which I don't think I've ever tried. And I don't know if I can find. And I couldn't afford anyway, I'm sure. But I do have a different Laphroaig I can try instead. And tomorrow, I believe, is a bourbon? I think it's Eagle Rare. I don't remember. But anyway, till tomorrow, Sláinte. I kind of want to mix this with something, but I don't know what. Decisions. Peated bourbon?